complex object because it's useful to test things like shaders or complexities of scenes. So 3ds Max has the Utah teapot, Houdini has the toy, and I think Pig's head. Blender has the monkey, and it's actually called the Suzanne monkey head, which you can see in the top left there, named after the orangutan from the film Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. Random piece of trivia. So let's get a better look at it. And to that we need to orbit, which you can do by on your mouse there, your scroll wheel. That is called your middle mouse button. If you push that in and then drag around, that is now orbiting. Now, for my laptop users, you just panicked because you realize you don't have a mouse. How are you? For the 3D work, it will come in handy. But in a pinch, you can get by without it just by up here in the top right-hand corner. This little gray circle, anywhere in the gray section, if you just left-click and drag on that, that will do the exact same thing. Or if you want, you can go to Edit Preferences, and then underneath Input, there's Emulate 3-button mouse. And that means that if you hold down Alt and then left-click drag, that will do the exact same thing. Also, interface, and you've got resolution scale. If you're on a 4K monitor, you might find that your menus and buttons are really small and you kind of have to like squint in to see it. So personally, I like to keep my 4K monitor around about 1.5. Since this is a tutorial, I'll make it nice and big so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's orbiting around with the middle mouse button. If we want to zoom in, we can do that just by scrolling in and out. You can also do it by going up to the magnifying glass tool there, and then just left click dragging and then moving the mouse back and forth. That's the same thing. Or you could hold down Control and then middle mouse button, and that will do a smooth zoom as well. Okay, so one thing you might notice looking at this is that it's not very pretty, right? It's kind of got this flat, bland, gray lighting over everything. And that's because this state right now is called viewport shading. And it's kind of a lightweight, optimized way to view the scene, just as you're building. But if you want to create a final pretty image, that's called rendering. And you can actually switch into rendered mode by going up here into the top right-hand corner. You can see we're currently in the viewport shading mode. If we go 2 across, you should see rendered view mode. So if we click that, your computer might stall for a quick second whilst it loads it in. You can see it's now different. We have directional light. We have shadow cast across the monkey. So it's now currently being lit by this lamp up here. So if I wanted to, zoom in on that lamp then.
Flawless, absolutely flawless. Like perfection, 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 perfection. Like no other. Flawless, absolutely flawless. Flawless. Like perfection. Like no other.
Just kind of like moving around. You can see it's kind of hard to focus on. Like it's always exactly not in the right view. And that's because we are centered on our monkey right now. We need to change the focus. We need to pan to something else. So we can do that one of 2 ways. One, if you're on a laptop, you can use the little move tool there. That will do that. Or everyone else, shift, middle mouse click, drag, that will do the same thing. So middle mouse is for orbiting, shift middle mouse is for pan to change your view to something else. Okay, so I want to move my light because it's too moody. I want to be able to see the monkey's face there. So to move an object, you can do it one of 2 ways. One, you could go over to the left-hand corner here and you've got the move tool. When you click that, you can see that the selected object, the lamp, has this gizmo, it's called, with these axes on it. And if I just clicked and dragged on any of those arrows there, you can see I can move it along any of those axes. I can also just click on that white circle there, and that will just freehand drag it depending on my view. But it's kind of tedious. Every time you want to move something, you have to go to that tool and then find the arrows and yada yada. So actually, most people prefer to use the hotkeys. So we just keep it in the default selection state here, and instead remember the hotkey, which is G for grab. Now I've just tapped the key, and you'll notice as I move my cursor that it's now attached to my cursor. My cursor isn't even actually close to it. In fact, my cursor could be on the other side of the screen, and I could tap G, and it will move it. And First, this is kind of awkward. You're like, why is it working this way? But once you get used to it, you realize it's actually handy because you don't have to spend all this time like navigating your cursor to something just so that you can move it. Your cursor could be over here and then just tap it and you're moving it. So whilst you're in this move state, if you want to cancel a movement, you can do it one of two ways. You could just hit escape, or you could right click. Then if you want to confirm a movement, like say I want to move my lamp here and I like the movement, I could just do a single left click. So again, if I want to cancel something, just right click. If I want to confirm the movement, left click. But let's say I wanted to move it along an axis, like, I like these arrows here and I want to be able to move it on just a specific axis. Well, I can do that whilst I'm in that grab state as well. So after I've hit the G key to grab it, I can then tap the letter of the axis that I want to move it on. So if you don't know, in the real world and in the 3D software, there are 3 axes because there's 3 dimensions. There's the X axis, which I can move by hitting the X key, the Y axis to move it back and forth, or the Y axis with the Y key, or the Z axis to move it up and down on the Z axis. So you can remember those letters, the X, Y, and Z, or the method that I actually prefer to use is whilst you're in that G state, if you just hold down the middle mouse button and then pull out, you can see you get this like gray line that pulls out from the center. And then if you just drag out and move around, it will snap it to the nearest axis, which again is maybe an odd way to work, but it's actually really handy because it means you don't have to think of the letter and locate it on your keyboard. I can just tap G to move it and then middle mouse drag out and then just find that exact axis that I'm looking for. And so it's very fast to just quickly move the lamp exactly where I want it. By the way, if you're finding it hard to remember all of the keyboard shortcuts that I mentioned, I've actually put together a cheat sheet of various most common hotkeys. And you can download that by clicking the link in the description. You can print it out, or you can just have it on a separate one. Also, if you are from another 3D software package, you might notice that Blender's hotkeys are different than what you are used to. So if you actually go to preferences, just for those people that are from other softwares, if you change the key map to industry compatible, you'll find that these shortcuts are probably more in line with what you learned from other software. I'll also put a link to a cheat sheet that is just for the industry compatible key maps that somebody else put together. I have nothing to do with it, but I'll put that link there so you can check it out as well. For the rest of this tutorial series, I'm going to use Blender's hotkeys. Just keep that in mind. Now let's say, as I am moving around here, I'm like, oh, this looks really good. I've got some nice Rembrandt lighting across the monkey's face. I want to take a photo. I want to take a nice, pretty image of this and post it on socials for clout, right? Well, I could take a screenshot of it, but that would be silly because it's got all these lines all over. It's all noisy, right? We don't like it. The way you take a photo, a pretty image, is to do a render. So you could do that one of 2 ways, by going to render and hitting render image, or remembering the hotkey which says next to it F12. So when you do that, a little window will pop up. It will use your CPU or GPU, whichever you've got active, and it will render out a pretty image. And from here, you could go image and then save as, and it will save it as a PNG or whatever you want to save it. But you might notice looking at this, that this is actually a different view than what we have here, right? So here I've got a nice view of the front space, but there is a different view. And the reason for that is when you do a render, it's not rendering from the view that you're looking at currently. It's always going to render from the point of view of the camera. So this is our camera over here, let's look at this angle. And we can actually look through the camera by just clicking the little camera icon there, or by remembering the hotkey, which is number pad 0. So how do we move the camera? Well, one is a little awkward and a little different to other software packages, but you're supposed to like hit G to move it, and then like little mouse to zoom in and out. Then if you want to like move it along the axis, I guess G and then X. You could do that, but actually what a lot of users prefer, especially those from other software packages, is if you've got your camera selected, which by the way, I haven't mentioned this, but up here, this is your outliner. It's kind of an inventory of every item that you've got in your scene. Here, in and but you're supposed to camera. Well, Blender add 0. So how do we move the camera? Well, Blender's a little awkward, maybe a little different to other software packages, but you're supposed to like hit G to move it, and then like middle mouse to zoom in and out. And then if you want to like move it along the axis, I guess G and then X. You could do that, but actually what a lot of users prefer, especially those from other software packages, is if you've got your camera selected, which by the way, I haven't mentioned this, but up here, this is your outliner. It's kind of an inventory of every item bring up the properties, N for properties for whatever reason, and then go to view. There's a little box there that just says lock to camera to view. So now, with that active, if I just use the same keyboard shortcuts as before, middle mouse button to orbit around, shift middle mouse to drag it, you can see that the camera is moving with it. So essentially the view, I can set it up exactly as I want, then hit N again, and then I can disable that. And now as I pull out, you can see the camera will stay exactly where it was, and I can do a lovely render. But this is too simple. This is the bound to make fun of us. Well, we could give it some color, right? So, with our monkey head selected, we can go over here to properties. So this property section is where you might spend the other, I don't know, another 5 to 8%, I don't know, getting too exact there. You might spend another 5% of your time in this section, but it's where all of the properties for things are. So for example, you've got like the render properties, like the size of the image that you're saving something as is defined there. And some of these properties will stay here no matter what is selected, but others are selection dependent. So you can see actually if I click the camera there, you can see I get a camera tab at the bottom. But if I select my monkey, you'll see the camera tab disappears. But instead I have some other ones that appear. So one that we might want to change is underneath material. This will enable us to add material, change the color to something else, essentially. So underneath here, where it's got new, I'm just going to hit new. And then you've got a bunch of options, very confusing. Ooh, IOR, subsurface, again, no. So underneath here, where it's called, change the color to something else. Then I have some other ones that appear. So one that we might want to change is material. This will enable us to add a material, change the color to something else, essentially. So underneath here, where it's got new, I'm just going to hit new. And then you've got a bunch of options, very confusing. Ooh, IOR, subsurface. Again, don't worry about it. The one that defines the color is the base color. So if I do a single left click on that white box there, I can then change this color to whatever I want. Make it an odd, creepy, skin toned effect, right? Like that. And do a random. Okay, so alright, it's better, but still it's too simple. I think people will think we haven't put enough effort into this masterpiece. So let's add another object. Let's give the monkey a hat. So if we want to add another object, how do we do it? Well, we could go to the add menu, like I mentioned before, or the hotkey Shift A. So what sort of hat do we want to add? We could do a boxy hat. Let's do a party hat with a cone. So once we've added an object, you can see it's just plopped it straight in the center, intersecting our monkey. So we need to move it. We can grab it with the G key. So it's now moving just on our cursor there. I don't want to move it just freehand because I like the position. I just want to move it up. So I'm going to hit Z to move it along the Z axis. Right, I like it there. So once I like the placement, I'm just going to use single left click. Okay, great. So we need to learn another tool, which is scale. So we could go to the scale tool there, and then we get this familiar little axes there. But again, we put the third one, which for scale is just X to scale. So inside of that, good. Let's move it down again. So G and Z. Okay. All right, but yeah, let's say we want to make it a little taller. Okay, so we could scale it on just the Z axis. So S. And then Z, whoops, S, Z, there we go. And it's now making it a tall party hat. Scale it down. There we go. Ha! Look at that. A very bland party if it's grayless. Let's give it a material. An exciting color. A vibrant aqua color. Why not? Give that a render by hitting F12. Okay. Camera is in the wrong position, so let's go to camera view mode with number pad 0. I'm going to select my camera. Rather than dabbling with that little thing I had before, I'm going to hit G and then middle mouse, just tap it once. As I said, it's a little awkward, Blender's the way it handles with the camera. But anyway, just move that out, and then I gotta rotate it. All right, so I'm gonna rotate. So with the camera selected, tap R, then middle mouse, and it's now kind of like freehand rotating around. So I'll just move it up slightly. There we go. Okay, this is just a fool around session, so don't worry if you're making mistakes. We'll get to actual practical building stuff in the next part. I'm just trying to find ways to throw in these like fundamental tools. Rotate, right? The monkey's head is just, he needs to look dead on at the camera, and currently he's off. What an excuse to use the rotate tool. So you could enable the rotate tool, right? The familiar axes there. You could click and rotate it around like that. Again, most people prefer to remember the hotkey, which is R to rotate, right? So it's now just freehand rotating on my cursor. Remember the axes, as I mentioned before, can be used for any mode. So the X-axis will rotate back and forth. The Y-axis, tilt it, or Z, there we go, to turn it towards the camera. Right, and there you go, F12. And we've done it. Let's save it. Let's upload to ArtStation, and then just wait for the recruiters, essentially. All right, let's start a new scene so that we can get ready for part 2, where we're going to actually start building a donut and learning some of the more core features. So click here, and see you in part 2. Now we know how the donut functions. Let's start building that. So, as before, let's, well, first of all, just to repeat, we are looking at a new scene. Completely new scene that we're in with monkey heads lying around. Let's begin fresh slate, and let's delete our default view with the delete key, and let's replace it with a new object. And the hotkey for that is Shift A. And as I mentioned before, we want mesh because they're going to be primitives. So we want to start with something that most resembles a building. You might start with a cube, if it's a vase, you might start with a cylinder. In our case, we want the donut-shaped one, although mathematicians call it a torus for some reason. So let's add that. Now if I zoom in by scrolling up, we can see we have something resembling a donut. It looks like a pretty weak-looking donut, you know, very flimsy. It's like the donut before it's cooked, when they just drop it into the vat. It's just this little wispy thing. So, immediately after you do some action, you have options to change it. The options are pinned down in the bottom left-hand corner. So click that box. Options are change the dimensions of our torus. Now, something to note is that these options will only appear immediately after
Never thought that any love
the options are pinned down to the bottom left-hand corner. You see the box. Click that box. Options change the dimensions of the torus. Now, something to note is that these options in front only appear immediately after you have done that action. If you do another action, like say deselect your torus by mistake, it's gone, right? Because Blender has assumed you have moved on, you've accepted the state of your donut, and this is the one you want, right? Now, if you haven't done anything drastic or changed this object in some severe way, you can temporarily bring it back by hitting F9. I never actually remember that hotkey. I just remember that immediately after I have added an object, if I want to tweak it, now's my chance before I move on to something else. Okay. So we can change, you know, the size of it here. We can also change the resolution. To make it higher or lower fidelity. And a mistake that a lot of beginners make, I say this because this was the exact mistake I made back in 2003 when I started learning Blender, is they go, well, I need a realistic looking donut, so I guess I need to go really high resolution. I remember my first project, one of my first projects was for a high school film project, and I wanted to have a close-up of a face. Didn't realize faces were going to be difficult, but I went really high poly, and then it was just an absolute nightmare to work with. So the reason you don't want this is that, for starters, things that are high poly are very slow to render, and they're very hard to work with if you want to tweak the shape of it. But also, as you learn and you grow with 3D, you'll discover that it is a lot easier to add resolution to something later on, and it's very difficult to take it away if you've already built it into it and you don't need it. So, one way to say, what we actually want is to have as few polys as you can get away with. So I'm going to go with 32 major and 12 minor. The way that it looks all jagged, let's go and fix that. Now, the major and minor, this is really up to you, but I find that something that looks it's kind of chunky, like a fat donut, just looks really delicious. So I'm going with something around about this size, okay? And once I'm happy with this, it's ready to click off. The options are gone, and this is it. This is the donut that I'm going to make. How do we make this look higher resolution, less jagged? Well, one way is to use smooth shade. So if you right-click your object selected, go to shade smooth. This is immediately better. Without being too technical, it's sort of like the shader is telling the render that this is really a high polygon dimension. It's just basically kind of like averaging out the faces, and anyway, it's very technical, but basically it's not adding anything time it's smooth. So this is generally what we want this hard surfaces, later on the counter, now face, just going to looking at this, especially if it goes side on, that you've got this sort of jagged shape, right? So the silhouette is really breaking out of these pieces of high quality. Rather than adding all that complex density into it yourself, this is one of those object-dependent things. So if you've got your camera selected, you won't see it. It's when you've got it's much easier to explain add one. So up here, add modify. We've got a range of options here that do a whole number of things. What I'm looking for is something generate, and it is called subdivision surface. And it is really common modifier. In fact, it's so common it's actually you can just immediately add it to another. Now, some of you might have just discovered that donut is a if that is the case, you need to go to edit, preferences, and then in viewport, it's got subdivision array 1, disable if you can use subdivision. That will then make the subdivision performance instead. This is such a very, very common modifier. It's kind of important to understand how it's working. You can see that this is these squares here, these are called faces, by the way. And for each one of these faces here, as I add a level, you can see it's becoming 4 faces, right? And then now, if I zoomed in on this one face here, if I do another level, that's going to become 4 faces. If I zoom again, it's another 4 faces. So it's exponentially out, you can tell. And you might also know that it is smoothing out as well, like this jagged edge that you've got here. You can see it's smooth. So quickly visualize that. Just like imagine you've got a 90-degree right like this. If you have some sort of modifier, then my render, if I quickly need to go beyond for a final 3D. So we have a perfect donut. And that's the problem. It's perfect. You can spend decades trying to develop a machine that made a donut is perfect. And you never know. This is so mathematically precise that the eye will always see this as looking fake. So that's actually probably one pretty quickly. Things that are too perfect just look fake. So you have to spend time making it with machine, adding variation, like you see in real world because I expect to see. So, to do that, how do you make this donut look a little more lumpy and interesting? You can do that by changing the mesh itself. So this mode that we've got, you can click on different objects, is called object. I know that because you can see object. Right click, go down, and these options again will change depending on the object you've got. So if I've got a lamp, a little light there selected, you can see I've only got object. My camera, I've only got object. My mesh will give you extra options. So let's go to edit. Right, now you can see our mesh, sorry, our object has become something that looks weird. It's got a bunch of little points on it with lines and very technical. Well, That's because this is actually what the mesh is made up of. These little points here, which you can click on just by selecting, are called your vertices. The singular term is called vertex. I never say that. I like to just call all of them vertices, regardless of whether it's one or two, just because you always get some comments. Actually, it's called vertex. It is singular. So these are called your vertices. If you have two of them joined by a line, that is called an edge. And if you have four of them forming a face, that is called a face. So with these, I can quickly change the shape of my object by using the same hotkeys as before. And if I want to move this, then I would simply tap G. Right? You can see it's now attached to my cursor. And then if I want to confirm its movement, I just do a single left click. And there it is. Now, if I go back into object mode, like that, you can see that my mesh has changed, okay? And by the way, the hotkey for jumping in and out of object and head mode is just tab, okay? So you can see it's just toggling between those two modes because it's so common that you want to just quickly change things that it's just easily accessible by that. Now, this is okay, right? But you can see it's got like some artifacting. It's not the greatest look, right? So how do we make it look a little more natural? Well, I mean, you could. my mesh has changed, okay? And by the way, the hotkey for jumping in and out of object and edit mode is just tab. Okay, so you can see it's just toggling between those two modes because it's so common that you want to just quickly change things that it's just easily accessible by that. Now, this is okay, right? But you can see it's like more good, right? I'll move that out like tool in Blender just for this, and it's called proportional editing. And you can enable it up there in your toolbar. So if you enable that, now if I hit G and I move it out, you will see I get a little ring around my cursor there, and that is now changing the mesh around it. Now, a lot of people in my previous tutorials were like, I don't see what's going on. You have to have something selected first, and then when you hit G, you will see that if I scroll down, sorry, if I scroll up, you can see it's shrinking its circle of influence. And if I scroll down, it is expanding its influence. So it's only going to affect what is in that ring there. Okay? If you are on edge of influence, I don't see what's going on. You have to have something selected first, and then eventually you will see that little circle of influence. Okay, now this circle of influence, if I scroll down, so if I scroll up, you can see it's shrinking its circle of influence. If I scroll down, it is expanding its influence. So it's only going to affect what is in that ring. Okay? If you are on, if you don't have a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can also change the influence by using page up and page down. And if you don't have page up and page down, you can go on your keyboard and make your page to the key map and then change your page up and page down. So then I go down here, it is up just by hitting G, moving it up. Okay, so already this is looking a little more natural, right? Because even if we were making a stylized world for a Pixar movie or something like that, you can't have just a spherical looking donut, round looking circular donut, because your eye will see it as a. So very quickly I'm able to add a little bit of variation to the donut, just all around it, just a little bit over here. And you can see that I am just changing my circle of influence depending on what size of a level I want to. If I just want to make like a little bit that sticks out, I can have a small circle just by scrolling. Just want to do that until you get something that looks a little more natural. And I want to make the inner part as well. I want to drag that in with a small circle. Like that. This is and it is edge select. So if you hold down Alt on your keyboard and then do a single left click on not the points, but on the edge, like this little. Line here, you can see it's selected all the way up. If I want, now a little bit flatter, go around one by one like this, which is actually what I used to do when I was alone in Blender. Pre-YouTube days, and there was. No tutorials. What I would do this if I wanted to select this. Silly, because there's a function, a tool for that, and it is edge select. So if you hold down Alt on your keyboard and then do a single left click on not the points, but on the edge, like this little line here, you can see it's selected all the way around. So it's anything that's connected along that line is now selected. So if I
Let me be your lucky star. Shine it down. Lucky star, babe. I want to be, babe. Your lucky star. Let me be.
exponentially. Well, you would if you were on my free newsletter called This Week in 3D. It's an email from me once a week with 3 to 5 things that I found interesting that week from the world of 3D. So sometimes I share a new tool.
And I want to be that